Nick Wilde is a recovering gambling addict who takes odd jobs as a chaperone in Las Vegas. One of the odd jobs is that of a rich mama's boy who has relationship problems with a woman who is out of his league. He stages a fake scene and then lets the client show his masculine side so that his girl falls in love with her brave man all over again. Come next morning, Nick makes his way to his office. There he is approached by a young man named Cyrus who is in need of protection. He is a considerable gambler, and although Nick is hesitant at first, he agrees to accept the assignment, as there is a lot of money at stake. He drives to a diner, where he is approached by the man he helped yesterday. Thrilled, he says Nick's plan worked wonders, and hands him his payment with an extra $500. Nick is happy for him, but doesn't accept the extra. It's always a pleasure doing business with Nick. While at the diner, making himself a real man's drink, his friend waitress hands him a message from a woman he knows asking him to stop by her place. Holly, a professional escort who has been beaten to a pulp, embraces Nick. When he wonders who did this to her, she has no clue. After her date last night, she entered an elevator with 3 men, one of whom was a young man in charge. They dragged her to their suite under the pretext of a party, then humiliated, forced on and brutally beat her. They threw her out in the driveway of a hospital. Holly asks Nick to find out who they are so she can sue them. Nick argues that he is not a detective and it is almost impossible to find people in Las Vegas, especially at the Golden Nugget Hotel, which he had warned her to stay away from. He refuses to help her. Still having a bad aftertaste from the whole situation, he goes to the Golden Nugget to see what he can dig up. He is a man with many friends, a housekeeper who works there is one of them, whom he asks for some information about the incident. He meets her later at the diner and Nick learns that the man responsible for assaulting Holly is Danny DeMarco, the son of a gangster, which is why he is constantly guarded by 2 big boys. She warns Nick that DeMarco is trouble and he should stay away from him. Nick calls Holly and tells her he has not found any information about her assailants, but she immediately confronts him about his lies, adding to the story of how DeMarco humiliated her even more. She knows how to pressure Nick into doing what she wants him to do, and he feels he has no choice left. That evening, Nick picks up Cyrus and shows him Las Vegas and all the luxurious casinos there are, until they settle on a rundown casino. Nick points out $100 tables to him, but Cyrus prefers $10 ones because he thinks the pleasure lasts longer that way. This is the highlight of Nick's career, guarding a boy who bets $10 on a roll of the dice. Disappointed, Nick is sure no one will rob Cyrus and leaves him to his own devices. Nick visits Holly and tells her about DeMarco and his whereabouts, but refuses to help anymore. He is furious that she is lying about her intentions to sue DeMarco. What she really wants is his nuts in her hands, even if that means putting Nick in a deadly situation. He really is a sucker when it comes to sweet talk from her. Nick goes to the hotel to confront DeMarco, disguised as someone sent by Baby, Las Vegas mafia boss. He wants to resolve the whole situation with him peacefully, claiming that he is Holly's pimp. DeMarco even offers $50,000 for his troubles, but nothing is really that simple. He starts belittling Nick, forcing him to address him as sir and tell him about his good qualities, and maybe he will be allowed to live. Nick says he is an honest worker and even shows him his card. DeMarco, being a good man, tells his thugs to rough him up a bit, and that's when Nick gives up on the peaceful solution. He breaks one thug's leg and cuts the other's forehead with a card, then beats him up some more afterwards. DeMarco shoots at Nick, but once again the card comes into play, knocking him unconscious. When DeMarco regains consciousness, he and his thugs are tied up, and Holly is there to see him. She reminds him of her, and this time she's come to the party prepared. DeMarco, once calm and collected, is now on the verge of tears. He tells her about the money and she tosses Nick the stack, but for her, it's not about the money. She gives him the same treatment he gave her. She wants to hear that he loves her, and if she doesn't believe it, little DeMarco is going off. Holly considers castrating DeMarco, who breaks down and begs her forgiveness. Instead, she decides to take the money and leave. Outside, Nick suggests she leave town, as he should too. Since Nick took the risk and Holly took the beating, they split the money and go their separate ways. With all that money in front of him, Nick can only do one thing: go straight to the casino to feed his gambling addiction. He sits down at a blackjack table and starts with a small bet of $5. To test his luck, he hits a 19 and gets a 2. Either way, it's his last night in Vegas, so he immediately trades $1,000 for one chip. Quickly he has 2, then 4, then 8,000. Each time he wins, he doubles his bet. Unfortunately, the dealer's shift is over, so he packs up his chips and gets a drink. At the bar, he sees Cyrus. He thinks he got lucky with the dealer, but then a bizarre realization hits him. How can he know luck is gone if he never tested it? He comes back and is once again on a roll with multiple hands and starts playing the whole table with maximum bets. Cyrus is there, silently cheering him on. Now, With a huge chip stack, he wins his last hand and has reached a milestone of 506 grand, a good point to quit. He tells Cyrus about his plans to leave the country and live the life of his dreams with this money. Nick even feels generous and tips a waitress $6,000, but on his way to the cashier, Nick suddenly has an anxiety attack. He tells Cyrus that 500 grand is fine, but to never end up here again, he needs more. So Nick decides to keep on gambling. He bets the 500,000, as well as his original $25,000 on a single hand of blackjack. He gets a 17 against the dealer's 10, just like in the beginning, he decides to hit, hoping for a 4. Unfortunately, it's a bust for him, and to add salt to the wound, the dealer had 16 and Nick would have won if he had played by the book. He loses everything. Nick tucks it away as any gambler would. I came here with 25 grand, lost 25 grand, not a big deal. It definitely stings. Afterwards he loses his composure in the bathroom and gets drunk until he passes out. The next morning, Cyrus reveals himself to be a self-made millionaire and wants Nick to teach him to be brave. He has come to Las Vegas to meet him, under the pretext of needing Nick as a bodyguard to get closer to him. Cyrus can help him with the money if Nick can guide him not to be afraid of life. But Nick refuses, saying that yesterday he was rich and now he is here again. Money cannot help him and he will rot in this shithole. He goes back to the casino bar when 2 of DeMarco's men arrive to take him to their boss. He has a flash memory of losing everything yesterday, and channels his anger into dismantling the 2 of them in seconds. More thugs crawl out, but that doesn't faze him in the least. He fends them all off until the cops arrive. Nick meets with Baby, the Las Vegas mob boss. Baby has received a complaint from DeMarco, who claims Nick broke into his hotel room, pistol whipped him and killed 2 of his men, all to fund his gambling addiction. Baby takes Nick to a room with DeMarco, where Nick tells his version of the story, that DeMarco killed his own men when he left the hotel, and to prove it, he states that DeMarco has a cut on his little pecker. Baby asks DeMarco to drop his pants to prove Nick wrong, but he refuses on principle. Both Nick and Baby burst out laughing and DeMarco leaves in a huff. It turns out that Baby and Nick are really good friends, but he can't help Nick with what's coming up. DeMarco will come for him. He goes back to his favorite diner. Cyrus joins him and tells him he's leaving, but not before thanking him for what Nick taught him, that everyone in the world is afraid of something. Nick is just as scared and an asshole. To thank him, Cyrus hands him a check for $500,000 and a plane ticket to Corsica, but he still looks dissatisfied, the reason being he's going to be murdered at any moment. DeMarco and his men show up at the diner and it seems like this is the end for him, when suddenly Cyrus shows his newfound manliness by singing loudly to distract DeMarco and allow Nick to escape. This works perfectly. They run after him and DeMarco declares that he's going to turn the whole town upside down to find Nick, who is up on the roof, armed with utensils. Nick covers his ears and imagines his dream life, but for that, he needs to have a peace of mind first. He starts stabbing them with his utensils and having guns doesn't do them any good. When all the thugs are dead, only he and DeMarco are left. To flex on him, he lets him land a few punches before finishing him off. Afterwards, Cyrus insists that Nick accept the check and ticket, and he accepts, calling Cyrus a good friend. Nick then finally drives out of Las Vegas to realize his dream. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.